some of my memorable wrecks would have to be just in my earlier years. I mean, I think it was 2006, I had gotten a new four-wheeler, and me and Zach had built a new track at my grandparents' house, and I was riding by myself, which was dumb. I don't know what I was thinking, but there was a jump that I had been clearing fine a couple weeks before, and I had miscalculated it once and hurt my wrist a little bit, and so I decided I was going to go back out there and prove to myself that I could jump it again. And I kept jumping at it and didn't get it, and then finally I was just like, you know, you got to do this. I mean, it's stupid. You have to do it. I mean, you were doing it before, and I decided I was going to go for it. And that lap, I just pinned it and was ready to jump it. And as I hit the face of it, I couldn't really tell you what happened after that, because I ended up getting a concussion, and I must have hit my head hard and landed on my shoulder. I woke up and realized that my bike was knocked over, and you know, I was just like, I better get home. So I walked to my grandparents' house and told my grandma, and I was like, Grandma, you know, I'm hurt, I need help, I need to go to the hospital. And she didn't believe me at first, but that's my fault, because I used to play jokes on her quite a bit about me being hurt and just faking it, and just you know, really wish I wouldn't have done that at that time. And she was just asking me, you know, like, when's your birthday, like, follow the finger, I mean, you're fine. And finally I was like, Grandma, I really need to go to the hospital. So she called my dad, and my dad came and picked me up, and I just remember the truck ride there to the hospital, and I just kept asking him the same questions over and over again. Dad, where's Mom? Have you talked to Mom? Dad. I remember getting so mad. I know I couldn't help it, but I felt really bad after that. You know, I'm sure he was scared, and it scared me too, but ended up just getting a minor concussion, and something cracked in my shoulder, which it was gonna heal just living through it pretty much. So that was one of the wrecks that I remember. Another wreck I remember was in 2009, and one of the races at Valley Moto for the TQRA series. They had a step-on, step-off section, and I was doing it fine in practice, and I was always doing it on the right side though. And once the race started, everybody was going on the right side, and I was like, man, you know, I can make some passes if I go on the left. And so I decided I was gonna try to go on the left side, and when I went on the left side, I came up a little short on the tabletop part of it, and just kind of jammed my finger into my throttle, and it just held it wide open, and I went straight up and back down to the nosedive, and the bumper slammed into the ground, and I landed on my head, and the visor of my helmet broke down into my face, or my mouthpiece, and I wasn't able to see, and there's people behind me that were jumping over the jump and trying to jump around me, and I couldn't see where to get off or get off the track, and it was a pretty scary time. Somehow I hit something on my leg, and I thought I'd broken my leg, so I was just crawling, you know, trying to get off, and finally some people came up and helped me, and I tried to stand up, and I couldn't stand up, and I was in some pretty good pain, a pretty good amount of pain. I thought I'd broken my leg, and just when I took my boot off, I just saw a bunch of blood immediately, and you know, I was ready to pass out pretty much. And I took my sock off, and when I had peeled my sock off, a chunk of my leg was in there, and it was pretty bad. That was one of the sickest wrecks I've had. Another wreck, I wrecked in my 2008 season. Was going in the start, and everybody was piling up, and it was pretty dusty, and I couldn't see, so I just tried to slow down, and I locked up my brakes, and it tilted me sideways, and when I landed on my shoulder, and it snapped a tendon in my shoulder that holds the muscles down, and so now, from now on, I have my collarbone sticking out more than usual. After the wreck happened, I had to get up and finished the race, and it felt like my arm was just hanging there. And I just slapped my arm over and rode as hard as I could and tried to salvage as much points as I could. When I got off the track, I think it was Joe and Kelly Gonzalez. They realized that I had wrecked, and I took my helmet off, and I ended up having a bloody nose, and so there's blood everywhere, and just my my arm was just hanging there, and it definitely freaked some people out, and it was definitely painful and one that I'll never forget.